What's up, YouTube? It's your man, that dude, bringing you guys another video. Now, like a lot of you guys, I love going on YouTube and watching like rankings for the best OPs of anime that might have came out that year or that particular season. An OP that I feel like did get talked about a lot last year was the OP for Vinland Saga. Now, Vinland Saga also didn't get talked about a lot in general as just being a great show. So I plan on making a video just about how I feel about Vinland Saga and how amazing it is. But just for the OP, I also think the OP was every bit as good as, the OP for Fire Force, which is, in my opinion, could be like another contender for the best OP of last year. But for this video, I'm just going to talk about the OP for Vinland Saga and why I think it's so good, and just give a few thoughts about that. I'll save my thoughts on just the music for the OP to the very end, because music is very subjective. So if you're not really like a fan of metal, you might not like the OP at all, just from that standpoint. So I'll save that to the end of the video. But as far as like the visuals and all that kind of stuff, I think it's an amazing OP. Like, the beginning of the OP, you get a sweeping shot over the ocean of the Vikings, like rowing through a storm, and it lets you know from the very get-go that, hey, these people live a very brutal life. They're tough, all that kind of stuff. They fight for what they get. And then it focuses in on the main character, Thorfinn, and you get to see him as a small child running through a field of snow, kind of innocent, has no idea of what what the greater world is. And then in the OP, you get to see him transition from that innocent child to a battle-hardened soldier, like a kid who's seen some shit. So and from there, you get to see like some little snippets of battle, and some snippets of man. Some snippets of the different factions within the Vikings, the warring factions. So it gives you an idea that, hey, there's some political struggle going on here, and this is the kind of environment that Thorfinn's going to grow up in. And like I said, the visuals are really good. Like, it's not a lot of like Sakuga, like smooth action in the OP, but I don't need that for an OP. You can save all that kind of stuff for the actual story in the anime. The OP just give me like an idea of what these characters do. So it gives you an idea that Thorpe is going to be fighting. You see him polishing his knives. You see him standing atop a battlefield. So it really lets you know he's in this. This is what he does. This is what he's growing up in. This is the kind of things that are going to shape his view of the world. And you also get to see that he's with his family at one point, and then all of a sudden he's no longer with his family. So you get to see just from the OP that there's some kind of incident that takes him away from his family. Now, if you like me, I've actually watched Vinland Saga, so I know what the incident is. But even just from the OP, you get to see that, okay, something happens where he's no longer around his family, and the Vikings, the people who he's fighting with, become, sort of like his family. Beyond that, I'm trying to think of what else in the OP I thought really stood out. Just the character design that you get to see in the OP. So you get to see the way the Vikings fight, the way they dress, different factions, maybe they dress a little differently. You get to see all that kind of stuff in the OP. So it gives you an idea how good the character design within Vinland Saga is. Now, there's only but so good a character design for a show set in this time period can be, because they all have kind of like a standard look. So it's it can only be so good to an extent. But within that extent, there's a really good character design, and it lets you know that right off the bat. And overall, it just gives you an idea how brutal the world that we're going to see in this OP is. And what is an OP's job if not to get you to watch the show? And Vinland Saga's OP does that. Just from the visuals alone, like, if that doesn't make you want to watch a show, like the scenes of battle, get Thorfinn polishing his knife, so he can really fight. It shows him fighting. It shows all the other different warring factions and the kind of stuff they do. Like, if you like that kind of stuff, like, I love historical fiction, and I know this show is like loosely based off historical events, but it's still a work of fiction, and that really got me excited for the show. So the OP's job at the end of the day is to get you to watch a show, and Vinland Saga's OP does that very well. Now, to move on to the musical aspect of the OP, the song is Mukanjo by Survive Said the Prophet. Now, again, if you're not into metal, you might not like the song, but like I really loved it. I thought the vocals really fit the visuals of what they're giving you in the OP. The change in tempo and all the instruments used, I thought fit really well with this different scenes where they popped up. And the tempo would raise when they were showing scenes of battle, all that kind of stuff. So I think It was a really good song choice for what the OP was. The song on its own is really good. The visuals that they give you in the OP but on their own are really good. Put those two together and I think it meshed really well. You know, it wasn't like where they had like the visual showing one thing and then the vocals and tempo of the song maybe didn't match it really well. That's not the case with this. They mesh very well. And in some cases you can have things where like the song itself is maybe a little more lighthearted than the visuals are showing you. Sometimes those things can like go together well, but in this scenario they pick a song and vocals that like match. Like trying to think of the word I'm looking for, really. Where they just fit really well. So like when you're fighting, the action scenes, the music's a little more up tempo and that kind of stuff. They just fit together really well. I probably said fit together well like 50 times already, but that's all the thoughts I really had on Vinland Saga's OP. I wish it got more respect from people who do rankings of OPs and people who break down OPs, but it hasn't. And hey, sometimes some shows and OPs just get overlooked, but to me it didn't. Along with Fire Force, Vinland Saga's OP might be my favorite. It's like right there with Fire Force. Every day I go back and forth. We don't know which one had the better OP. I'll probably make a video on Fire Force's OP as well. But that's all I have for today, guys. I'll see you next time.